Ladies and gentlemen, I am Lady Lilith, and welcome to Eerie Embers. The Ancient Ram Inn. In the English countryside of Gloucestershire, nestled in the town of Wootton-under-Edge, near the shadowy waters of Potter's Pond, stands an ancient inn shrouded in eerie silence. Once a lively pub, it transformed into a bed and breakfast in 1968 under the care of John Humphreys, who devoted his life to it until his death on December the 12th, 2017, at the age of 89. The inn consumed him, its history entwined with his own, yet some of its ghostly inhabitants seemed to relish in his departure, their spectral presence lingering in the dim corners, waiting, watching. Wootton-under-Edge's oldest building, the Ancient Ram Inn, dates back to 1145 and stands as a monument to both history and mystery. This inn, arguably one of the most haunted places in the world, harbours a dark and unsettling past. Before its construction, the land served as a pagan burial ground for millennia, intersected by two powerful ley lines. One ley line runs through the heart of Stonehenge, while the other traces a path through Glastonbury Tor, infusing the inn with ancient energies believed to fuel its paranormal activity. Despite widespread belief that the inn sits on top of a pagan burial ground, archaeological records do not confirm this. Theories vary, with some suggesting the cemetery dates to the Neolithic period, and others to early medieval times. Known burial sites from these periods exist across Gloucestershire, yet no evidence has surfaced to support the existence of a cemetery at the inn's location. Such a discovery would be documented in repositories like the Archaeologically Data Service, National Heritage List for England, and others, but none reference a pagan burial ground near the Ancient Ram Inn. The origin of this chilling claim remains a mystery, adding to the inn's eerie reputation. Listed as a Grade 2 building and mentioned in the Domesday Book, the Ancient Ram Inn has a storied and ominous history. Initially, it served as a residence for slaves, builders and masons constructing St. Mary's Church. During the church's construction, a nearby stream had to be diverted, a disruption that pagans believed opened a portal for dark energy to seep into the land. Throughout the years, the inn has become infamous for its numerous ghostly sightings. Guests have reported encountering spectral apparitions so terrifying that some have fled in the dead of night, abandoning their belongings until the safety of daylight allowed them to return. The haunted reputation of the Ancient Ram Inn persists, with each eerie encounter adding to its chilling legend. After the departure of the slaves and workers constructing St. Mary's Church, the inn became home to its first and supposedly only vicar, Jorinus, in 1154, with no other records of vicars or reverends residing here. It is believed that the vicarage was constructed shortly after Jorinus's stay. Following its ministerial use, the inn passed through the hands of wool merchants and private residents before becoming a public house in 1820. From 1930 it was privately owned, with Maurice de Bathe purchasing and restoring it. In 1968 the inn was sold to John Humphreys for £2,600. Humphreys devoted his life to restoring and preserving the inn, which had had numerous owners and served various purposes throughout its long and storied history. Mr. Humphreys poured his heart and soul into the inn, yet after a few years it was no longer suitable as a typical bed and breakfast. The reason? It had become far too dangerous. Now only ghost hunters, mediums, and those with a fascination for the paranormal dare to spend the night. What makes staying at the inn so perilous? a truckload of angry spirits. Fortunately, not all the ghouls at the ancient Ram Inn are maleficent. Some spirits are more benign, such as the ghost of a 15th century woman who met a tragic fate after being accused of witchcraft. Desperate to escape her doom, she sought refuge in a room at the inn, but was eventually discovered and burned at the stake. Despite her horrific end, she bears no ill will, though she does resent being called a witch. Her spirit still lingers in what is now known as the witch's room. A black cat also haunts the witch's room. This spectral feline could have been the witch's companion, or perhaps the spirit of a 500-year-old mummified cat that Mr. Humphreys found within the wall. In those times, placing a dead cat inside the wall was considered a lucky charm. Additionally, the ghost of a young girl is often seen behind the room's window, eerily waving to those who pass by. The sitting room is another hotspot of paranormal activity, where the spirits of former owners like to linger, adding to the inn's haunted ambiance. During the renovation of the inn's basement, Mr. Humphreys made a horrifying discovery. A grave containing several children's skeletons at the foot of the staircase. These children were likely victims of ritual sacrifice, as broken knives were still embedded in their small bodies. This gruesome find may explain the chilling sound of childlike crying that echoes throughout the inn. Although placing stuffed animals around the building seemed to reduce the crying, it never completely ceased. Adding to the eerie atmosphere is the apparition of a young girl named Rosie, seen floating through the hallways. However, there is an unsettling question. Is this truly the spirit of a child, or something darker? The pagan rituals performed on this land may have opened a portal for maleficent energy, so visitors should tread carefully. Mr. Humphreys himself had several unpleasant encounters with his paranormal housemates. On his very first night at the inn, an unseen force pulled him from his bed by the arm. His bedroom was also terrorised by a poltergeist that relentlessly banged on his window. The bed dragging ceased only after he placed an enormous wooden crucifix in the room, but the banging merely relocated to another part of the house. These relentless disturbances proved too much for his wife and daughter, Caroline, who refused to stay in the inn and moved to another house, leaving John alone with just the spirits. Despite the eerie encounters and isolation, John never once considered leaving the inn, remaining steadfastly devoted to it until the end. He loved adorning his ancient inn with antiques, and he was especially pleased when he acquired an antique painting of Pastor John Weasley. However, when he tried to hang the painting in the stairwell, all hell broke loose. Doors that had been closed for years suddenly swung open and slammed shut, and a cacophony of banging erupted from all of the windows. Even his daughter's dog refused to enter the stairwell whilst the painting was up. Needless to say, the painting didn't remain there long. To exacerbate matters further, the ancient Ram Inn is also haunted by an incubus and a succubus. These demonic entities were the primary reason why the inn became unfit as a bed and breakfast. The incubus, a male sex demon, preyed upon female visitors, feeding on their hormones as it crawled into bed with them. Similarly, the succubus, a female counterpart, targeted the male guests to feed on their energies. The presence of these entities was so terrifying that some guests resorted to jumping out of the windows to escape. John Humphreys himself shared his room with an incubus until his death, highlighting the relentless and disturbing nature of the paranormal activity at the inn. Warning signs and biblical passages are prominently displayed throughout the ancient Ram Inn, reflecting the pervasive paranormal activity within its walls. The most haunted room, the Bishop's Room on the first floor, is home to no less than 9 entities. Among them is a friendly ghost of a small Cavalier King Charles dog, often observed in the corner of the room. More ominous presences include the spirits of a dark monk, bishops and nuns, whose spectral forms are not only seen, but are deeply felt by visitors. Legends suggest that devil worship once took place within these walls, adding to the room's eerie atmosphere. Some guests have reported unsettling experiences, claiming to have been lifted and thrown across the room by an unseen force, highlighting the intense and unsettling nature of the hauntings at the inn. The paranormal activity at the Ancient Ram Inn continues to shock and terrify visitors. In addition, guests often hear agonizing screams of a man who met his demise when his head was forced into the fireplace. The spirit of a young woman also haunts the inn, appearing upside down from the ceiling, suspended by her legs, which is an incredibly disturbing sight for those who witness it. According to the chilling encounters, is the apparition of a Roman centurion who had been seen riding through the walls of the bishop's room on horseback. This spectral manifestation left 2 plumbers working at the inn utterly terrified, further cementing the inn's reputation as a hotbed for unsettling and unexplainable supernatural phenomena. The haunting extends to the attic of the Ancient Ram Inn, where visitors report eerie sounds of something heavy being dragged across the floorboards. According to local legend, the attic holds a tragic history. About 500 years ago, the daughter of a former owner was brutally murdered by hanging in this very space. Caroline Humphreys, undeterred by the paranormal activity, used the attic as her bedroom. However, the area is not without its dangers. The back of the attic features an unstable floor, making it unpassable. This chilling combination of ghostly sounds and a tragic past contributes to the eerie atmosphere that pervades the Ancient Ram Inn's attic. Even the kitchen at the inn harbours unsettling events. During a ghost hunt, an 18-year-old man was forcefully thrown against a wall by an unseen force upon entering the room, a phenomenon John Humphreys himself experienced in the past. A young couple fled from the kitchen in sheer terror after witnessing the apparition of a woman emerging from the floor. Later investigations revealed the tragic discovery of a woman and her baby buried beneath the same spot where the spirit had appeared. Behind the bar, connected to the kitchen, lies another tragic tale. A young woman, known as Elizabeth, has manifested numerous times to the Humphreys' daughter, revealing that she was once murdered by a highwayman. It is believed that the space between the roof served as a hideout for 2 highwaymen, and it's possible that one of them was responsible for the woman's untimely demise. These chilling accounts underscore the pervasive and disturbing phenomenal activity that permeates the Ancient Ram Inn, leaving visitors and investigators alike shaken by its dark history. The 18th century barn at the Ancient Ram Inn is haunted by a menacing presence, a towering 7-foot, 2-metre tall dark figure. This shadowy entity eludes an aura of violence and aggression towards men, yet it shows particular favouritism towards a specific type of female visitor. It often manifests in the doorway of the barn, seemingly guarding or protecting something within. Encounters with this dark figure have left witnesses shaken and unnerved, adding another layer of fear to this already chilling atmosphere of the Ancient Ram Inn. Its mysterious presence and selective behaviour contribute towards the barn's reputation as a site of intense and unsettling paranormal activity. Today, Catherine Humphreys owns the Ancient Ram Inn, following the passing of her father, John, in 2017. His tenure at the inn unearthed disturbing evidence of devil worship, witchcraft, and tragically, the skeletal remains of multiple children, including an infant. John Humphrey's stewardship of the ancient Ram Inn left an indelible mark on its history, solidifying its reputation as one of the most haunted locations in England. His daughter Catherine now carries forward the legacy of this infamous and unsettling place. The Black Bear. This historic building, dating back to 1308, has a rich and storied past. It was once known as Ye Old Black Bear Inn, and later as the Black Bear Inn. After falling into disrepair, it recently underwent extensive renovations to restore it to its former glory. Now, with the ancient architecture meticulously preserved and modern amenities tastefully integrated, the inn has reopened its doors to the public. The blend of old-world charm and contemporary comforts offers guests a unique experience, steeped in history, yet equipped for the present day. Its reopening marks a new chapter for this centuries-old establishment, inviting visitors to step back in time while enjoying all the conveniences of modern hospitality. Said to be one of the oldest pubs in Gloucestershire and the third oldest in the country, this building has witnessed countless changes over its more than 700-year history. Given its age and storied past, it's no surprise that it is also reputed to be very haunted. Throughout the centuries, the inn has served as various purposes and seen numerous transformations, notably during the Battle of Tewkesbury in 1471. This was once the stables and repurposed as a hospital, providing care for the wounded. This long and diverse history, combined with the tales of spectral encounters, adds to the inn's mystique and allure, drawing visitors eager to explore its haunted halls. During earlier renovation works, a set of medieval horseshoes was discovered in what was once the dining area. These relics were initially hung on the wall in that room. However, witnesses have reported seeing these horseshoes inexplicably flung off of the wall by an invisible force, flying halfway across the room. Furthermore, it is said that any landlord who attempted to move the horseshoes to another room faced dire consequences, and none were successful in running the pub. This phenomenon adds to the building's eerie reputation, intertwining its historical artifacts with its paranormal lore. Toward the back of the building, the apparition of a cavalier soldier has been seen, and the eerie sound of horses' hooves cantering outside the pub frequently fills the night air. Additionally, there has been chilling sightings of a headless man dragging chains behind him. It is believed that this spectral figure might be a Lancastrian soldier who met his grim fate through the execution further up from the Black Bear. These haunting encounters contribute to the pub's reputation as a hub of paranormal activity, drawing both thrill seekers and those curious about its ghostly inhabitants. A more heartwarming sighting at the pub involves an elderly lady, also dressed in black, who will sit quietly in the corner of the smallest room. According to witnesses, she appeared so solid and lifelike that patrons often offered to buy her a drink. However, when they returned with their offering, she had mysteriously vanished. This gentle apparition contrasts with the pub's more sinister hauntings, adding a touch of poignant mystery to its storied past. In what was once the front bar, there was a leather ceiling that has since been renovated. Before the renovations, this small bar experienced notable poltergeist activity. Glasses and bottles would inexplicably fly off of the shelves, particularly late at night. When last orders were called, if a patron lingered too long over their drink, An unseen force would knock the half-filled glass from their hand. Some speculate this could be the spirit of a former landlord or landlady, eager to ensure the stragglers don't cause the current publican to lose their licence. This mischievous yet protective presence adds another layer of intrigue to the pub's haunting history. For those who dare to return, the haunted pub remains a place where the past and the present entwine, offering a rare glimpse into a world beyond our own. Here, the time stands still, and the echoes of history continue to reverberate, ensuring that the stories of the Black Bear Inn will never be forgotten.